Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome along to the wilds of Suffolk. I'm out here yet again doing what I do, walking along in beautiful locations. And today is absolutely gorgeous, giving you my thoughts and opinions on things that are happening in the world and the public consciousness. If it's your first time here, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, 1,320 I think there are of you today, welcome, welcome one and all. So it has been quite some time since I've been out here to do a video, and there's many reasons for that. It's I've been doing these videos about 3 years now, coming out and giving you my thoughts and opinions on things. And whilst the timeline that I thought things were going to work on to was going to be much shorter than what is actually happening, the things that I've been talking about over these 3 years are happening. And I thought maybe just let that, what I've said and what I've put out into the world, just sort of bubble away in people's psyche to let them see what I've been saying. You know, obviously people who've been subscribed to this madness have been following along and seeing the things that I've been saying and noticing actions that have been taken by different parties in this grand game and this grand show that we've been watching, and watching along with the popcorn in hand and taking it all in their stride. But the majority of people who have been so caught up in the narrative that's been woven by our politicians and leaders and media and social media owners have been caught not knowing what to do as things start to unfold, as the economy starts to crumble, as the interest rates continue to rise, as their food and their fuel bill keeps on going up, and just thinking, why is this all happening? Well, we all know, don't we? Now, which leads us today to today's video. Now, I've been putting this off and sort of working out how best to approach the current situation. For those of you who don't know, I took some time out. I finally took a break with my family. Went down to a place called Cornwall. How are we doing? Hello. Went down to a place called Cornwall in the south of England. Cornwall is a beautiful place. We went down there to visit my wife's sister and went and spent some time in the surf and had some fun, and just generally got away from everything that is our daily life, and went on and had a bit of a holiday, which was amazing, which we needed. It was incredible to get away and spend some time with my wife and kids, and it was amazing just to sort of switch off and unplug from the madness for a while, because the constant struggle of keeping myself involved in the madness that is the news and all the things that we have to constantly come into contact with every day to keep abreast of the situation is not only draining, it really if you let it get to you, if you become morose and feel like there's no hope. So occasionally you have to switch off, take a break, walk away, not think about this craziness for a while, and just gather your thoughts and remember, spend time with your loved ones, remember what this struggle is all about. Because we're not here for shits and giggles, we're not here for fun and games, not here for fame or fortune, certainly not here for that. But, to remember why, well, for me, why I'm doing what I'm doing, why I'm raising my voice, why I'm speaking out constantly, why I do these videos is to make a better world for my friends, my family, and of course for my children, because the world that we're going to leave behind when our time is done here has to be something that we would want for our children, would want for ourselves and for those around us. So this is why we struggle. It's going away on holiday with the family. It reminded me of what it's all about, why I'm doing what I'm doing, why I'm here. And it was a good reminder. It was wonderful. And it's since I've been back, I've taken some extra steps to make sure that I have that connection with my family. I'm spending some more time with my kids, come out walking out here in the forest and beautiful places like this, and connecting with them and reconnecting with my wife. We're going to start a dance class. We're going to be doing some ballroom dancing soon. So those kind of things, and reminding myself and reminding my family that this struggle isn't for fun. This struggle is to make sure that we're leaving the world a better place. That's what I'm doing this for. It's not, obviously my thoughts and opinions are exactly that. You can take it for whatever you want to take from it. You can think I'm full of shit. You can think whatever you want. But I'm going to raise my voice in objection to the things I find in this world that are objectionable, not only to myself and my family, but to those around us. And whilst most people can't see that, I'm going to be standing up for it anyway. So, I've spent a long time on this introduction, but I just wanted you to understand. I've been away, I've been working like a madman. Obviously, summer is chef, that's where the money is, and also gardening, making sure that we are taking as much vegetables and fruit out of our garden as I possibly can to sustain us through this time of horrible inflation, and to make sure that I can still continue to feed my family and make sure that I know where our food is coming from. Now, the title of this video is "Come With Me If You Want to Live." Now, if you've ever seen any Arnie movies, that's Arnie being the same guy who said, "Screw your rights," that guy. He's one of his famous lines from his movies is "Come with me if you want to live," or "Get to the chopper," that kind of thing. Now, I'm not implying that that my way or my way of thinking or my way of doing things or anything as such is the best way and that's the only way you're going to live. What I'm trying to say is, come with me if you want to live. It's not about my way. It's about following your intuitive voices inside you to guide you on the journey that you have to be on. We can all argue against it, we can fight against it, we can push back against the place where we find ourselves, but at the end of the day, we're brought to the place where we are because we need to be there. Now, I've dwelled on lots of spiders out today. Let me see if I can find a way to get through here without covering myself with massive amounts of spider web. Sorry, folks. I'm getting thorns in my fingers. This is the joys of walking in the forest, is you've got to deal with everything that comes with it, much like doing videos and being a, what do they call them, truthers? Well, I'm speaking my truth. You've got to decide what your truth is. I can't tell you. But one of the joys of doing this kind of stuff is you've got to take a lot of criticism. If you can handle that, great. Same as walking in the forest. You've got to take with all the good with the bad and what it comes with. Means lots of spiky things that can spike you, things that can bite you, But, so let's get back to on point. So, come with me if you want to live. Now, I didn't come at this title lightly, and it's not about me telling you what to do or how to live or anything of the such. It is more about following your intuitive voice, because that's probably the hardest thing to do, is to listen to your intuition in the face of everything that's coming at you, and to follow your own guidance, or that guidance that is leading you to where you're going and what your path has to be. But it is the only thing we truly can do if we are to live the life that we've been put here to live. This world was created for us, and what for? Just to come here and have a good time and then die and walk away or fly away or whatever happens to us when we die. But do we ever die, really? So when I'm talking about this intuitive voice, I mean, I've made no secret about how I conduct my life, and based on the how best to put it, the voices in my head. If I say that, it sounds even crazier than what it is, but that's crazy enough. But we all have those voices in our head, and you know, and some of those voices are saying, you're not good enough, you're too fat, you're too ugly, you're missing teeth, you know, those kind of voices that are constantly telling us the negative aspects about our life, who we are, and how we want to live, or what we've chosen to, what principles and core principles and morals that we choose to live by. So when we go through this life, this whatever this life is, this reality, as we go through it, every single decision that we make is going to take us to a different destination. Now, you are the sum of the decisions that you've made in the past. Where you are right presently is the decisions that you've made in the past that have led to where you are. And what made you make those decisions that have led to the place where you are now. Okay? So some of those decisions could have been influenced by family, friends, governments, laws, mandates. Mandate! Those kind of things that you are influenced by everything that you come into contact with in this reality that we experience as the real world, which is advertising. I mean, you name it. We're inundated by information. So much information at our fingertips constantly, but how do we evaluate that information and make decisions? How are we going to live our lives based on all the information that we come into contact with? So this is what drove me to come out and make this video today. Now, if we have a look around in the world, it is insane. I think we can all agree that the world is completely insane. And I did warn everybody, I tried to for the last few years, that things were going to get crazy. And we're not there yet. We're still only half crazy. We're not full crazy yet. We haven't gone full, you know, we never go full retard. But things are definitely heading in that direction. Now, I'll give you a couple of examples just so we can be on the same page as we walk down this path in the middle of the beautiful forest together. So what's happening in that place where that guy dresses in khakis all the time, you know, the actor who is playing the president in a far off nation that's being attacked by a far more superior militarily country. Oh, that could be any number of countries, couldn't it? The guy who's playing being president could be in America, could be the guy who's playing running the country here in the UK, Rishi Sunak. It could be in 1,000 different places. Australia, New Zealand, you know. In New Zealand they had that guy who pretended to be a woman running the country, like, you know. So the pretense of people running the show is on display. Oh, no butterfly there. The pretense of people running the show, running the world, is on display everywhere you look. Everywhere. It is astounding that people still refuse to acknowledge that basic principles of how you run a country are not being displayed by any of the leaders who are purporting to run those countries. Now, from my understanding, obviously, being an uneducated pleb who left school the day after I turned 15, you know, like I say, take my wisdom, my understanding of the world with a pinch of salt, because that's all it's worth, as is everybody's. But when you're elected to be leader of a country, my understanding is that that country is your first priority, right? So you're elected to be president of America. Obviously, America is your first priority, and it should be. You know, it should be your first priority to look after that nation and the people of that nation, because that's the nation that you've been elected to look after. But when we see, let's just take, for example, the United States, where the citizens of the country are second-rate citizens at best in their own country, where the economy is failing, businesses are failing, they've been shut down for years now for whatever reason, racial equality or some other nonsense that they're peddling today. Riots, obviously, a few years ago, you know. When you're sending billions and billions and billions of your country's tax dollars that the taxpayers have paid to the government to disperse to programs within the country that's going to benefit people from that country. You're sending those billions of dollars to a different country to fight a war that you're not in. That's not great. Now, I could say the same for every country. I mean, you know, all these countries are throwing money at Ukraine to be laundered and sent back to the politicians so they can line their own pockets. How do politicians who are on, you know, they're on good salaries, you know, 160, 180,000 a year, how do they become worth 100, 200 million dollars or 200 million pounds? How is that possible? Or they're just good at investing. Okay. Yeah, Nancy Pelosi, thank you. Well done. I want to take investing advice from that woman. But look, here in the UK, you know, in America, they've got a wide open border where if you're a foreigner going into the country, maybe I should head over to America. Then I won't have to pay rent, because if I just break into the country, like tens of thousands of, oh, but Chris, they're fleeing oppressive governments. Oh, like, what, governments that want to put me out of work or make me wear something over my face? Or you mean oppressive like that? No, oppressive in that their countries, their shithole countries are going down the toilet economically. Oh, you mean like this one? You mean like America, like every country is at the moment? Yeah, but they're fleeing war. Okay, and who is perpetrating those wars? You know, is it us? Is it the Western nations that are perpetrating wars in these, you know, countries like in Africa, like Niger, you know, maybe Syria, you know, Congo? Should I keep going? But these people, they're fleeing their country because of political persecution. With political persecution, so if they speak out against the government, then they're shut out of their social media, much like Russell Brand is, who's been accused of something, never been charged with anything. He's been accused, but he's being shut out. And the UK government is actually calling up a platform, Rumble, and sending them a letter and saying, you will take this guy down because we don't like what he's saying. Oh, no, because someone's accused him of a sexual misdemeanor, or someone's accusing him of rape, you know, from 15 years ago. No one's been charged, but the media, the front page of all the media in this country, has already labelled him a rapist. Okay, this is the media is doing that. So you've got a guy called Philip Schofield, who works for ITV, still works for ITV, who was grooming a young boy. Media never said a word. Rolf Harris worked for the BBC for 30 years, raping children. Media never said a word. Jimmy Savile worked for the BBC for 30 years. Media never said a word. Russell Brand was the darling of Hollywood for years and years and years when he was a drug addict, alcoholic. You know, he was a philanderer. He was everywhere. He was with women all the time, and the media had no issues with him then. When he was doing all this, you know, when he was with hundreds of partners, when he was off his head on drugs, media had no problem. Now, as soon as he speaks out and says, oh no, these pharmaceutical companies and the military industrial complex and the politicians who are supporting all this, you know, as soon as he speaks like that, oh no, rape charges. No, maybe he is, maybe he did. Why not have a day in court? Why not charge him with something? Surely you have evidence if you're going to sling that kind of accusation at somebody. Surely you have evidence to that effect. You're not just going to come out and say it in the media without any kind of evidence to back it up, right? Right? Now, look at the stories we're being told. Does it make any sense to anybody? That's the questions I ask people all the time. You know, it's when I say come with me if you want to live, I'm not saying come with me. Don't believe everything I say, because then it's going to be the same trap that you've fallen into, believing what the media says and what the politicians say. We all know politicians are liars. We all know the media is full of shit. But yet we still cling to that hope that maybe there's an element of truth in there somewhere. And there is an element of truth in everything we hear, which makes it almost believable. Almost. But we have to be more discerning with the information that we take on. And how can you be more discerning? I mean, really, where can we get our information from that has any kind of truth? Because if you try and get it from platforms like YouTube or BitChute or Rumble, and the politicians and the media decide that it's not information you should have, then they're going to make sure that those platforms will firstly, they'll demonetize you, which is fortunate for me because I am not monetized anyway, so I don't really care. Sorry, got some spiderweb on me. Yeah, they can deplatform me, of course, but then I'll just go somewhere else, you know. But when the government tries to control the narrative and it becomes obvious to people, then it comes down on the platforms. And eventually what's going to happen is, as the media loses control of the narrative, it's happening already, because they're straight up lying, and you can tell they're lying because when you flip from one channel to another, or from one media organization to another, and they're all saying word for word the same thing, you know that they're captured. You know, well, Rupert Murdoch just stood down, Chris. That's okay, and his son's going to take over. I'm sure there's no danger there. Would he have stood down and let his son take over if things weren't going to continue as they were? The media is propaganda. All of it. And it's either propaganda for one direction or the other, and trying to discern fact from fiction through all this is almost impossible. So, which is where I come back to trusting that voice that is leading you to information that will make you question what you're being told. I thought that was a Bigfoot behind me there. Paranoia. Does paranoia annoy you? So you have to be discerning, and with all the attacks that we see on information coming to us constantly, then that's the thing I look for when I'm looking at information is, how does that fit with the way that I see the world? And how does that cross-reference to everything else I've seen? And should I go and look at something else to see if I can reference this to make sure it's true? And not referencing it against a large media organisation. Well, obviously you have to see that stuff that they're saying, but you're referencing it against things that you can actually check. Okay, so check on things, right? Let's just say, for instance, you know, I've been talking about digital money for years. Everyone said, no, that'll never happen. It's not going to happen. Digital money's no, people will fight against it, blah, 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 blah. Now people are saying, oh, well, I'll deal with it when it happens. But digital money, you know, I've been talking about it for years. Everyone said it won't happen. I'm like, yes, it will. This is why. Go to the banks and check who they're hiring. That's one way to do it. Cross-reference and see, does this make any sense? Are the banks involved at all? Because if they are, they'll show some sign of it. Sending money internationally, try it. See what software they're using. If they're using a different software, if they're using different ways of transferring money now, because it's a lot cheaper and it's a lot faster. So, things that you can cross-reference and information you can cross-reference against, and people that you can cross-reference against, to see whether the information that you have been told or whether the information that you've come across is true or has any truth to it whatsoever. Now, when we hear about the new financial system, it's going to run on gold and it's going to run on precious metals and commodities and digital currencies. Now, yeah, I've been involved in digital currencies now for 5 years, and cryptos for 5 years, and I've had to do a lot of cross-referencing, a lot of checking against information I've come into contact with. Is the new financial system based in crypto and precious metals and commodities? Where can I look? You know, have a look at what the big central banks are doing. What are they doing? They're buying gold. Massive amounts of it. Russia and China and the BRICS nations have already talked about having a gold-backed digital currency. You know, so we are coming into contact with a bunch of information that we have to we have to go and cross-reference, and we have to check against what we know. And you also have to check it against how you feel about it, because your emotional state, and this is one of the other things, I've been away for a little while, I've been working on my own emotional state, because when you're in this noise and you're in it constantly, I felt like that priest in Constantine, if you've seen that movie Constantine, and that priest who is psychic. I'm not calling myself psychic, by the way, but I'm just saying this is how I feel. And Constantine asked him to check around for information, going through newspapers and things, and he hears these voices, there's noise that's constantly going on, and it drives him to drink himself to death. Now, you know, as we've seen over the past few years, as people have been locked up and masked and told not to trust their friends and family who are telling them anything other than what the government's saying, we see more people going down that route of drowning their sorrows, not only in booze and in drugs and you know, getting distractions away from having to look at information, because it is overwhelming. And if you don't have an outlet for it, then you're going to damage yourself. You know, I come out for a walk in the forest, I go for a ride on my bike, you know, I work a lot. So, you know, I have distractions for myself, but try and develop healthy distractions. Now, with these voices or this urges, whatever way that you describe this, the way that you come to information, what draws you to things. I was talking with my children the other day, and I said, here's the best way that I can describe to you how I see things and how you can use the way that you are designed and built to take advantage of this matrix that we're in and control it for yourself, right? So this is kind of hard to explain, but I'm going to try my best. Okay, so let's say you're talking about buying a Dalmatian dog, right? All of a sudden, you'll start seeing Dalmatians everywhere. Was there more Dalmatians, or were they always there and you didn't notice them? So what you'll find is that they were always there, you just didn't notice them because you weren't focused on that thing that you're focusing your energy on now. So if you're looking at a VW car, you'll see them everywhere. Not because there's more of them, but because you're wiring your subconscious to look for that thing that you're interested in. And that's based on your emotional state. So if you can program your mind to look for opportunities around you within the sphere that you run in, using the same principle of focusing your attention on something, and then your subconscious will point out instances where that thing is. And it's happening all the time, but most people aren't taking conscious control of it. They're not thinking about it when it happens. It's just like, oh, it's a coincidence, or it's a happenstance. It just happened to be that way, and nothing happens to be that way. It is all, we are like scientists taking part in an experiment where simply by observing it, you're influencing the results of the experiment. And surely you've come across that when you've done the double slit experiment, or you've heard about it. Schrodinger's cat, I've spoken about before. Schrodinger's cat is a thought experiment that was done where you have a cat in a box with a radioactive isotope, and the cat exists in both alive and dead states until you open the box and see it for yourself. And the observer has an influence over the result of that experiment, because you don't know whether the cat's dead or alive until you open the box. So it's your observation that alters or influences the result. So if we know that we can program our subconscious, you know, there's tools that you can use to do that, NLP and all other things. Program your subconscious to look for things, for opportunities and information that you're looking for within this realm that we inhabit. If you can program that, then as you move through this reality, those things will pop up into your perception and show you that you're on the right path. Make sense? So when I say come with me if you want to live, I'm not talking about following me. I'm talking about training your intuitive voice in order to find the things that you're interested in and follow a path that you set for yourself, rather than being guided down a path that has been laid out by psychopaths and sociopaths who are running the world the way that they see fit. How do you want it to run? How do you want things to work? Well, that's what you have to decide. That's where how you and I and everybody in this place, in this reality, if that's what we're calling it, has to decide which direction we're going to move forward. Now, we all want to be part of the crowd. We want to be the cool kids who are, you know, oh yes, we are all part of a greater good and the socialism, because it's a good thing. We've been told that by our university lecturers. Socialism's a good thing, or communism's even better. But whilst the system that we live in now, I've been saying, oh, this the system that we live in, capitalism, it's all broken, it's all blah blah blah. No, actually, it's not. And I'll tell you why it's not. The system we live in isn't capitalism, it's called crony capitalism. And there's supposed to be laws that govern monopolies that aren't enforced by the politicians who are bribed by the big companies who are monopolistic. Now, when we have a look at the monopolistic companies, for instance, Facebook is a DARPA program. DARPA is American military. It started its life as LifeLog. The same day LifeLog was shut down, Facebook started. Check it out. Google, Amazon, you know, who are they run by? Google is Alphabet agencies. Amazon, oh yes, yes. All the stories that we've been told about the people who run these things, or who operate them, or who invented them, they're all fabrications. It's all part of the story. It's all part of the narrative in order to get you to believe something, that if you just work hard and you save your money, get a good education, go to university, rack up a bunch of college debt, go out into the world and get into a trade, like be a doctor, and be a good little boy. You earn a lot of money, pay back your student debt eventually, maybe when you're 80, and then you have a wonderful life as a doctor, unless you don't do what the government tells you, and then you'll never be able to work as a doctor again, and that student debt that you had from university will still be there, and you'll have to pay it back by washing dishes at McDonald's, or actually probably don't have any dishes at McDonald's, do they? Sweeping the streets, or doing something else other than the thing you went to university for, because you're going to be dictated to by a dictatorship government in order just to keep the life that you were promised when you started the journey down the road, where they said, oh, just get a good education and fight for your whole life for money that we invent out of nothing, and then want you to pay us back with interest. The whole game is rigged against the populace from before you were born. Now, the issue at hand is, there are many issues at hand. But at the end of the day, it is what we're willing to put up with. And it is slow steps. We can't click our fingers like Thanos did and change the world in an instant. Though I know that there are some globalists who would like that very much. But look at the bigger picture. Look at the imbeciles running each of our countries. Wherever you live, it's imbeciles running it. I'll guarantee it. No, but they're not imbeciles. They're youthful idiots. Because they do what they're told. Because, well, climate change and there's too many people, overcrowding and overpopulation and blah, 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 all the garbage that they're told by their advisors, who all went to the same universities, of course. And these people that have this agenda to keep it going because it suits them, it suits their style, it suits everything that they've come to understand about the way that the world works. Because if the population gets too big and people start to understand who the real problem is, then you've got a huge population that will turn against you. And we're talking the revolution like they had in France, where many of the people that are running the show wouldn't make it. So, now, what you need to understand is, well, the message I'll leave you with is, the way that this is all being done, it's all to show you how incompetent and morally bankrupt all the people running the world are, our nations. So we're supposed to go, oh, you know, there's supposed to be riots in the street, there's supposed to be civil war with people within the countries fighting against their own government. And then the globalists will come out and say, see, you can't even govern yourselves in your own countries with your own borders. Well, there are no borders if you've got people coming over the border just willy-nilly and without having to show a passport. Try travelling without a passport anyway and see how you get on. But we're supposed to rise up against our political masters, and then the globalists will come and say, you can't even govern yourselves. We need a world government to make all the big decisions that govern our world, because all these local politicians who don't believe in things like climate change and the pandemics that spring out from a bat and a pangolin having sex in a wet market that didn't sell either of them. When we have situations where we have the local politicians who won't go along with that agenda, we need to have a world government, because these are world problems. That's the final agenda. And that's when you understand what this all is about, is all gearing towards a one world government, one world police force. Fuck yeah, we're Team America, fuck yeah. When you understand that's what it's all leading towards, then you understand the bigger picture. And then you have to use your discernment about how you're going to tackle that, and what you're going to do, and how you're going to be self-sufficient within the parameters of that system as that system starts to break down. And no one's there to help you. You need to understand that. People around you, people that have a like mind, that see bigger problems, those people around you will help you get through. Politicians, not so much. And if you keep on believing, oh, but it's just if we vote in the next election, and just if vote me in the next election, we'll fix the problems. The same politicians that have been in politics for 40, 50 years are still saying the same thing. Just vote me in, I know how to fix the problems. I know. They don't. They won't, because they're part of the problem. Now, all that said, there is a movement that's growing in this world, a great awakening, if you will. And it's being driven by all the negativity and the bullshit that's happening is essential. All the things that are happening right now to you and around you that involve you are all essential for the bigger audience, all the people that are around you, to wake up and see what's going on. So out of every negative there can be a positive as well. So you have to see it for what it is. The events that are taking place wouldn't be happening if they weren't scared that their system was failing all around them. So we're in a place now where you have a cornered animal. What are they going to do next? Who knows? They need a war to cover the faults in the financial system that are showing every single day. More inflation, they can't get inflation down. Oh, we need to raise interest rates some more to get inflation down. Meanwhile, they're spending billions on weapons for a war that they're not even declared to be in. So this is, when we see the breakdown of things, it's a good thing. Okay? See it for what it is. It's a good thing, and all we have to do is just make sure that you can thrive through the breakdown. Just like digital currencies, when we're talking about CBDCs, is that a bad thing or a good thing? It can be both. And this is what I want people to understand. I'm not trying to be promoting CBDCs, but there are positives to it. If it is a public ledger and there is accountability for every penny that our government spends on everything, then perhaps that can change the way that our politics are done, because if we have accountability for every penny that's spent and people are trying to dupe the taxpayer and the way the system runs, then that can be exposed quite quickly and clearly, and the evidence is right there on the blockchain. So is digital money a bad thing? Not necessarily, but it has to work in our favor. Is everything that's going on a good thing or a bad thing? It depends on how we are going to use the tools and the technologies and the way that the world operates, and the inventions and the people within the system have the ability to change it. You know, if I was running a country, I would have an open competition for people to design free energy systems that would benefit the country, and award that person who came over the winner of the competition, award them with a contract to be part of a private industry being built within the country that's going to create jobs and lower electricity bills for the country. Wouldn't a responsible politician do that? Or are they all just liars, scammers, cheats and bullshit artists? I think we all know the answer to that. So, I will keep doing what I do, maybe not as often as everyone would like, but I'll keep doing it because I'm going to raise my voice and I'm going to share what I see and what I think and what I feel out into the world in hopes that maybe some people will take something from it. Maybe they will, maybe they don't. If you've got something from this today and you think it's worthwhile, then share it with other people that you think can benefit. If you don't, then forget about it, delete it, don't care. It doesn't bother me. I win nothing, I lose nothing. I'm just sharing my opinion. But you have to be out there and sharing your opinion and influencing the world as much as you can, because this is a time of great change and great upheaval. And what comes out of the other side of this is up to us. It's not up to the psychopaths running the show. So what are you going to do about it? That's it. Go out into the world, do good and be good, and you can change the world with the way that you think, the way that you act, and the way that you interact with the world and other people in it. So do that. And most important of all, look after yourself, look after each other, and I look forward to seeing you real soon. Take care. Ciao for now.